Under Falling Skies, this is a free print-and-play solitaire or cooperative microgame. Solitaire because, well, you can play with a single player. Of course, you can play with multiple players as long as you're making the decisions together. It is a print-and-play microgame. You can find all of the files on Board Game Geek, and it is very easy and light to build. It only requires you to print 2 pages of rules and 9 double-sided cards, which you can mount on cardboard, or like I did, you print them. You print each side and then you simply place them in transparent sleeves. Is this simple? And in these days of social distancing, having games that you can get in your house, you can have fun build them with your family, and then you can play them without having to go out, then it's very important. What you will also need to add actually is dice of 3 different colors. 3 of a color, 2 of another, and 2 of another. And in this case, I designed these as the dice that I will roll during the game. And these will represent robots that I may spend actions to build. Then you also need cubes. Cubes of a color to represent, to keep track of things, so simply to use as trackers. Cubes of another color, possibly green, to represent the aliens that will attack you. And then 2 extra cubes that represent alien reinforcements. Oh, I didn't tell about the game. Alien invasion, and also the game seems to be inspired by old school video games where you're there at the bottom, moving around, firing at them as they come down. That dates me, but still, those were good games. Now, it is a dice placement game, and the general idea is that each round you will roll these dice, and then you will place them in your bunker where you have different rooms. Not all the rooms that you see here on this section have been built yet. The cube represents the excavator. You imagine that the rooms that are available go from up there, down here, up to here. And so during the game I can spend actions to move it down, and that increases the number of rooms that I have available, therefore the number of actions that I can take and the position in which I take them, because that is important. In fact, you also have to think of the board as divided into columns that have the rooms of your bunker at the bottom, and they go all the way up there. Super important. Now, during the game, you roll, at the beginning of your turn, you roll all 5 dice, and then you place them in rooms that are available. And then, after you place all of your dice, you will resolve the actions. The dice of another color, I chose gold, indicate re-rolls, meaning that after you place them, you can re-roll, you must re-roll all the remaining dice. So maybe if you have some sucky rolls, then you wanna place one of these early so you get to use them. If your rolls are pretty good to start with, then maybe you want to use these one before you use the re-roll dice. The idea still remains that you must place all of your dice, and you must place one in each column. If there is a die of yours in a column already, then you cannot place it. You have to place them in rooms that have already been built. And here comes the plot twist. When you put a die in a location, the higher the result, the better the effect will be, as we will see, but also the faster that will antagonize the aliens. Because in the column in which you place the die, the alien on top of that column will move by the number of spaces. So I placed a 6 there, and so that means that this alien here will move by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and it sits there for now. When moving, the aliens may end up on some of these symbols, and these do different things. If an alien ends on one of those arrows, then simply it shifts column, so from there to there, for example. And it also means that when you place a die in a column, all of the dice, all of the aliens in that column will move down, because after a while, as they start shifting from column to column, you may have multiple ones in the same place. The symbol here means that if they land there, then the card representing the mothership will move down. One for each of those symbols where they land. If they land on an explosion, for now nothing happens, but they're in an area where you can target. If later you spend an attack action with a die that has the result or higher, 3 or more, then you can target that space and remove that alien, which will be removed for now, and it will be respawned on the mothership next turn. But at least, well, you delayed them a little bit. Because, so you activate rooms to trigger actions. The actions will trigger the alien movements, and they're trying to reach this line here. When they get here, they inflict a hit on the base. And this is one of the 2 ways in which you can lose the game, which is if the damage token goes all the way there. So if enough alien ships make it past your defense. The mothership, as we saw, also moves. When it moves, it triggers further negative effects indicated by that symbol there. Say that one, for example, places an extra alien there. So they just keep coming. If the mothership reaches that skull there, then it landed and it's too bad. The only way for you to win the game is to keep them at bay for long enough until you can develop enough research, accumulate enough research points to build the super mega weapon of doom that will save the Earth. Now, we're talking about the actions that you can perform. So you place the dice there and then you perform the actions. When you place a die in one of those boxes, you don't really get anything, but what happens is that at least they will move 1 space less than indicated by the die on that column. And so I place a 3 there, and they will move 2 instead of 3. Not great, but sometimes they're just dice that you cannot place, so you dump them there. Because remember, only 1 die per column. That is a really tough restriction, and it's really what the game is about, in a sense. If you place a die on an energy battery, then you get to recharge your battery by the number indicated there, and then you gain more energy, which is important because other actions will require energy. The research action, for example, you get to advance on the research track. As you can see, not all boxes on the research track are born equal because they have different numbers. Basically, you get to advance a number of points on the track up to the total indicated there. So I put a 6 there, that means I can cover the 3 and the 1, that is 4. I had 2 more, but the next box is a 4, so that's not enough. If that was the case, when I spend the 6, then I would do that. So actually there are cases where dumping a low die on this track is still pretty good because you still get to advance by a space if the next space doesn't have a high value. Then we have the attack action. We mentioned that. It costs energy. You see the number of energy indicated there. If you don't have energy, then you cannot take that action. And again, that allows you to attack an alien ship, which is on a target space if you have a result, if you put on the attack box a number which is at least equal to or higher than the number indicated there. Oh, you can put a die past the excavator, and so that's how you excavate new rooms. Or you can build a robot. When you place a die there, then you will replace it with a robot with the same value as the die that you indicated there. And then you can put the robot somewhere, and then it will simply do things every turn. Basically, it will automatically perform the action of that space. You still need to spend the energy, but at least you don't need to spend the die every turn. So for example, I place the robot there that keeps shooting at the enemies. After you take the turn, the robot is spending also its own batteries, and so you reduce the value of the robot by 1. So my 6 robot becomes a 5, bing, 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 shoots again, then becomes a 4, and so on and so forth. Or I can place a robot to do research for me, etc., etc. But this is the idea. It's a little puzzle in which you're trying to keep the aliens at bay by shooting them, by trying to prevent some of the worst effects that they throw at you. You need to keep your base functioning. Some of the effects will actually collapse your room, so you need to excavate them again. So you're just trying to generate energy, defend your base for as long as you need it to accumulate enough research to win the game. So this is Under Falling Skies, and I have to tell you, it is a pretty impressive game, especially for a game that uses 9 cards, that has 2 pages of rules, and that is for free. It's one of these games, and I really, sometimes it makes me wonder, should we just buy any game? Because free games can be so good. This is better, frankly, than many store-bought games that I bought. Okay, not all of them. There's still games that are better, they're more engaging, better production values. But if you're at home and you're stuck and you want a solitaire game that really is engaging, then I think this one is pretty good, because it makes for a tense game. And you see the aliens that keep coming as you are trying to solve this little puzzle here. It's a puzzle really, and that has a strong puzzle element, because the order in which you place the dice matters so much. Of course, how much you commit. If my research is here, and the next box is, I don't know, a 4 and then a 7. Placing a 6 there is kind of like a waste when a 4 would do. But maybe because of other things, that's what I end up doing. I place a die there because I want a big action, but then on that column in particular, the aliens move fast. And maybe if I place, I need a 6 in attack. But if I put it there, then that causes the alien to attack my base. And I want to put it in another column. So again, and this, because there doesn't cause me as much trouble. So again, it's not just about the order in which you select the actions or which ones you select, but even where you select the action on the board. It's a really fun game. It's a simple. Maybe at the beginning it felt a little fiddlier than it really is, but when you get the general sense, you don't have so many rooms, that means you don't have so many actions, but you definitely have enough layers here, enough decisions to make for a fun, intense challenge. For a game that you can build at home, spending nothing and adding some components you probably already have, this is a really, really good game. Under Falling Skies. It's a fun theme. It feels quite thematic. It feels very thematic, actually, especially for a game that at its core is a dice placement game with a strong puzzle element. But I found it entertaining, I found it very enjoyable, and I would definitely recommend it. It's a fun game.